All right, it's 6 o'clock. Let's call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to 3.0, let the record reflect that all board members are present. 4.0, student representative. Not tonight?
You got nothing unless Carly wants to speak. Huh? Do you?
All right.
All right. I guess we got it.
All right.
Okay. Hi, I'm Carly George. Additions for the spring show, the female odd couple are March 2nd and March 5th and at 3:30 p.m. and is open to Virginia and Eveleth Gilbert students. The speech team also competed last Saturday in Bemidji and Mesabi East. The team that went to Bemidji took first place, and the team that went to Mesabi East got second place. The boys hockey team won their game against International Falls last Tuesday, advancing them to play in the Amsoil after 20 years. They then lost to Hermantown 8-0. Last Friday, the boys basketball team had a big win against Big Fork. The team plays in Duluth Marshall tonight, and the girls basketball team had their last regular season game last Thursday. And the last thing is that the combined Virginia Eveleth Gilbert boys swim team had section finals on Saturday, along with advancing multiple people in 8 out of the 12 events to the state meet. The team also won the section 6A title, something that neither team has done in more than 30 years. They're very excited to accomplish this, to be the first team to bring together a trophy for the consolidated schools. The state meet is held this Friday and Saturday.
That's it.
Thank you.
Excuse me, can I make a comment? I think we get very good reports from the student reps, but I think when we instituted this, we kind of anticipated that the student reps would take part and give opinions on, the topics that we're discussing, for student input. And so I don't know if that's something the students are interested in, or just giving a report and then, leaving. But what I'm saying is that their input is what we originally were interested in. Do you want me to stay? Well, I mean, I'm just, no, you don't have to.
No.
And if you want to handle it this way, that's fine, but you're very welcome, as far as I'm concerned, is to stay and have input on our topics. And we have 2 reps, don't we?
We have 3.
3?
Yeah, but 2
Okay.
of them cannot make it to me.
Yes. And our board could have that discussion if that's what you want or not, but
Yeah,
at a different point.
I get that. I completely agree. And
Yeah.
it would be nice to hear their input on the stuff that we are talking about, to be able to have the student engagement in
Yeah.
our meetings would be wonderful. I wouldn't necessarily want to put you on the spot in case you actually have things to do tonight.
Sure.
But if you and the other 2 could discuss it and
See how you
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
about it.
yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Can I also make a comment that our Carly George here has been nominated for the kindness campaign? So I think that's pretty cool and deserves a little recognition because she's a great gal.
That was wonderful to see you.
Yes.
So yeah, now you got a round of applause too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't let us
Carly.
scare you away either, if you try to give a report late.
She's just letting me
I
out of
did
here.
see that.
All right.
Okay, moving on, 5.0, agenda additions and deletions. Do we have any?
I would like to add to the agenda a discussion about the acting principal position in regard to principal seniority lists, etc.
Okay, where would you like to add
So
that?
I think that would be most appropriate to go under personnel.
Okay, so it would be, we take the none and turn that to just 11.1, discussion on. Okay, 11.1 will turn into.
Do you have a motion, a second, and we'll vote on that?
I would make a motion.
I will second it.
Well,
Oh.
we would do that at when we actually vote on the agenda. Right now it's
Right,
just
right,
additions
yeah.
and deletions.
Well, whatever, okay, that's fine.
We'll get there, I guess.
Okay, and then I have an addition under old business or unfinished business, whatever we call it, just a follow-up on the meet and confer and the certified letter to the parent. And under 13.0 and under,
13.0,
yeah, and items, well, let's see, added, maybe not, it's not in the consent agenda, so maybe added to the regular agenda. We have in the consent agenda the approval of minutes from, various minutes and everything. I would like to add somewhere a report or minutes of the first ad hoc committee meeting. Was it last week? Because we have no minutes in our packet. And it was a committee, so.
so where would we put that? That discussion on the,
I don't know.
I guess
Items removed from-
still, and I know how they're posting it, we had this discussion at the committee meeting, but we approved a working group, not a committee.
But it was posted it was properly posted if it was a true committee. And if it's a committee, it should have minutes, and I'm just asking for the minutes, okay?
so we
And a discussion of the minutes.
I mean, I took some notes.
And maybe if there aren't really any minutes, otherwise they'd be here, maybe put somewhere on the agenda a report from those two committee members.
Update or something.
Okay? All right,
So is that something you want to add then?
yes.
What part?
Well, Kelly usually reports on the Joint Powers Board
Yeah, where
meeting,
do
so
we
wherever
put
you
that?
put
Typically
that.
at the end.
Yeah, at the end.
It is towards the end, yeah, I don't know if it's under one
12
of these
and
headings.
12.0 new business?
I took it out because we didn't have one in the last, we haven't had a joint powers board meeting since the last
Yeah, but
wherever you put
where
it.
do you normally put it though?
15.0.
15.0?
Okay. Ad hoc committee report.
So then 15.0, and so 17.0 would be adjournment? Correct?
Yeah.
What was the first one you wanted to add, Holly?
The certified letter?
Certified letter.
Update on meet and confer, and then update on the certified letter to the parent.
Thank you.
Okay, 5.0.
Wait a minute here, now I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm trying to make sense of it. Well, let's remove 12.5, we don't need to have that discussion. I'm also
Okay.
gonna remove consent agenda F. That young lady decided she wanted to stay with us.
Is it on
E.
Oh,
It's on
E.
E or F? F is extracurricular positions.
E is,
The
lunch-
resignation.
Resignation.
For the lunching?
I don't even understand how this happens.
9E. That's because you had it numbered incorrectly, A, B, C.
All right, let's go with E.
Okay. So E is removed,
Mhm.
okay?
And then I only have one addition, and that would become 12.6, and that is to renew the district's Rams membership for $1,250. I forgot to put that one.
That would be 12.5 then, right?
You could call it 12.5, because
Yeah.
12.5 is going away.
Yeah.
What was the cost?
$1,250.
Yeah, thank you.
So instead of 12.6, it's gonna be 12.5,
All right,
okay. Very
You
good.
got all that, Dave?
It's a lot.
Okay,
let's do it.
okay, so 5.0 agenda, we got the
Got this.
agenda additions and deletions. We need a motion to.
Not,
No.
that's
No.
7. Yeah.
Okay, all right, sorry. 6.0, visitor input, do we have any, Jeff?
No,
Okay. 7.0, approved agenda as amended.
I will make the motion to approve the agenda as amended. Do I need to rattle off all the amendments?
No.
Support.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8.0, approve the treasury report for the second check writing of January.
Include in your packet the treasury report for the month of January, check writing $210,891.25.
Can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll move.
Support.
Moved by Director Yuhan. Support by Director Gentilini. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.0 consent agenda. Approve the consent agenda as presented minus
E.
E. Can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director Schoberg, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.0, items removed from the consent agenda. Nothing. Well, there was E,
That was,
but,
that was removed, though,
Yeah.
not for discussion.
okay, right.
I just have a quick question. So we have copies under the consent agenda of the minutes. Do we need an actual document approving, Jason, or just that it's on the agenda? Or
We
do-
just need the agenda.
Just an agenda, and then that, okay, not a specific motion and a, okay. All right,
If you want to pull it out and make a special motion, that's what 10.0 is for.
no, that's fine, I just wondered if we needed a special piece of paper in the,
No.
on that thing, okay.
11.1 personnel. 11.0 personnel. 11.1 we're gonna, Brandy added a discussion on the superintendent's duties.
Well, towards the end of my time as the board chair, I became aware of some, the acting principal position is not in the superintendent contract, nor is there any verbiage about the stipend in there as well. So once you became the board chair, I relayed that information to you that we needed to get on that. And with your permission, you asked that I speak to the attorney.
Do you continue the
about-
conversation?
Yep, to continue the conversation. So I did do that. And I hadn't heard anything, so I wanted to just make sure that the board was aware and what the issue is, or what can become an issue down the road, is there is no verbiage about, as the acting principal, if there's any principal rights for seniority with that. And so I asked the attorney to look into that, and I also contacted MSBA to have a discussion about that, to figure out if we needed to, figure out like percentage, how much time is the superintendent spending in that position as the acting principal, what duties is he doing, and things like that, so that we can make sure everything's clean as we potentially consolidate. And Gary Lee did talk to Mitch Brunfelt about the situation, and just briefly before Mitch had left, I had hoped he was going to stay for this meeting as well, so that we could discuss it further, but he had to go to another meeting. But he did say that Bill had spoke to him about doing a legal opinion on whether or not the current acting principal has seniority rights to a principal position, and he's got that and is just about ready to send it. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was up to speed. If you have any questions, you can ask, but it's a concern.
I have a question, wondering, we don't have job description, duties listed out for.
For the acting principal.
For, well, is acting principal or supervisor? We had a position in this district previously where the superintendent was considered a supervisor of the Franklin not an acting principal. So I guess at defining terms, it's going to have an impact too.
Those were all my concerns.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to work on that, for quite some time.
And we, list of duties, how much is this and how much is that, and how much is the dean of students? What are his or her duties, or any deans? I don't even know if we had a list of dean of students.
I do believe there's a job description
Okay.
for the dean,
Right.
but the acting principal, there is not, so.
And then also Angie could be considered, if it's an acting principal, she took over some of those duties and,
For evaluations.
right, yeah, so.
Mhm.
So I
So
think,
just a heads up that,
That will be
we're
coming.
trying to straighten that all out, figure it out, clean it up.
so is there a document in process or what?
There's a legal opinion being formulated, yeah, on that.
We'll get-
And because I had prior knowledge at the end of my board chair duties, Bill wasn't quite understanding what I was saying about it, so he asked if I would contact the attorney and let the attorney know what we needed to have done. And I feel, and the discussion will come down the line here later when Matt and I talk about the working session, the committee, the group, ad hoc, whatever it's going to be called. We'll have a little bit of a discussion then too, I'm sure, but this could come into play down the road, and we just need to be prepared for that.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being proactive and taking the ball on that.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what you and Mitch had talked about, and so, and that was perfect, yeah.
So legal
Perfect.
opinion should be coming on that as well. I just wanna make sure that we're being fair to all the players in the situation.
Okay. Moving on. 12.0, approve the second reading of policy 415.
Mr. Chair, 415, we did the first reading at the last meeting. This is a mandatory policy that we currently don't have. It isn't a matter of changing, it's something we don't have. It is directly out of the MSB, but without any altercation.
Can I get a motion?
Support. Kelly's down.
Any motion by Director Sorkin, second by Director Sather. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 12.2, approve resolution 705, accepting donations.
Mr. Chair, we had a very nice donation from Gilbert Community Church, Mary Louise Sixbury, of hats and mittens for all the kids in pre-K through 6, and I just wanted to recognize that.
Okay. Being that this is a resolution that will require a roll call vote. Thank you. Dr. Sather, take it away.
Director Yuhan,
Yes.
Director Gilbert,
Yes.
Director
Yes.
Lotiger, Director Sather is yes, Director Addy,
Yes.
Director Sorkin,
Yes.
and Director Genowini.
Yes.
The resolution 705 passes with 7 yeses. Seven, oh, 705.
705.
Oh, and there, thank you. 703 is what is on the document. Our agenda says 705.
Okay, it should be 705.
Okay.
Yeah, good catch.
We did 703 last meeting, which was also a donation.
Okay.
Do we do 704?
We did 704,
We
which
did.
was also a donation.
What you learn at those.
This is all Kelly's fault.
All right. 12.3, approve resolution 706 calling for a special election. Do we have Do we have the times, you said, Jeff, the times that the polling places were gonna be?
On page 3 of this resolution, standard times are 7 to 8, if that's what you wanna go with.
Yes. Page 3,
2, sorry.
2,
Okay, so
so 7 AM to 8 PM. Okay,
I'd move resolution 706 as presented in our or was presented at the table.
Okay, so this is a roll call.
Support.
your discussion first.
Yep, so moved by Director Schoberg, support by Director Sather. Any discussion?
I'm just counting, there's 11 polling places. I thought there were 12. Is there an unorganized, let me see.
Should be 2 unorganized,
Yeah, okay. let's see.
2 Eveleth, Clinton, Fairfield, Gilbert, McKinley, Belovic, and Virginia. I think that's it.
We can move ahead with it, but if there happen to be 12, that would just be adjusted. I'm gonna look.
Well, you passed a resolution in December that names the polling places, so if there is a 12th one, that's the ruling.
Okay, so
Anyway.
just under that understanding that
There's
if
one,
there's 12.
isn't there like one in Mackinnon somewhere?
I think there is 12. I think there are 12.
Okay.
Colvin Town Hall.
All right, so we all understand that. We'll check on that.
Early voting available at your office this time around, like last time?
Okay,
We're
we
gonna
have a
introduce Debbie to some early voting.
so a motion by Director Schoberg and support by Director Sather. No, any more discussion?
Related question. On that timetable, is that all about election judges, election judge training? Is that all in there?
Mhm.
Okay. And Deb's had, will be handling all of, most of it.
Trial by fire.
That's what I mean.
We're gonna get her some help.
That's a heck of a lot to, okay. Great.
Any more discussion?
I'd just like to say that I believe strongly in a board vote. But again, because of time constraints, I understand why we're seeing this resolution, but I do feel like consolidation is inevitable. People that have spoke to me have said that and I've spoken to a lot of people on both sides of the fence, and it's been said when we consolidate. And I just feel like if we don't consolidate, it's gonna be a huge mess. A huge mess. And so I would have totally supported a board vote on this. I do think there is a lot of people out there that thought that that's what they were voting for. It was a collaboration, I agree, but there's a lot of people wondering why we're even having this conversation right now. They thought that's what they were voting for, or they thought it was a done deal, but I just want that to be said before we vote.
And I agree, but to follow up on that, I do think that, some issues rise to being so important that the citizens should be asked to weigh in, and going to the polling place and pulling a curtain and making an X is the best way I know how to do that. And I think that will reinforce what this board has been working towards since we passed the consolidation resolution in August.
And I share that feeling, but I went a little further on social media and responded to a fellow that holds your view too, Brandy, that the board should vote. And I said, yes, we have a representative form of government, and generally that's true, but the statute gives the people, in certain circumstances, extraordinary rights for situations like this, consolidation, recall, and whatever. And I think that if the legislature and the state thought it was important enough to give us special voting rights like this, that they must think it's important for all the people to weigh in and levy referendums and such other things. And so, I think it would do our citizens a disservice. We represent them, yes, but I think they need to weigh in on this, whether they're for it or against it. This is only a vote to put it, put it to a ballot. And Matt, I think you said at one meeting, it was our last collaborative meeting, and I agreed with you, and so did others, that there are some people that would agree to vote, but they're not against it, consolidation. They're for consolidation. They just think that they should have the right to vote. So you can't put all those people in one basket, that anybody who would sign this petition would be a no vote, or somebody who didn't support the referendum to begin with.
But I will just piggyback on that. But the petition that was passed around wasn't based on the fact that bring it to the voters to let them decide. It was sign this petition because your taxes are going to go up and you just don't know it. I know somebody personally, I talked to them yesterday, that's how it was presented to them.
Well, I have seen
Okay.
I have seen it, and I expect
I mean,
to
so-
sign. I have seen it. I expect to sign the petition,
Mhm.
and it's very clear. It says this is just
Okay.
to election of the question, to vote or not. So.
Can't find the 12th one.
So, but
Yeah, well,
I think it's
I'm
Calvin
looking too.
Town Hall or something, Calvin or somewhere out that way. But I'm just saying, that was brought to me yesterday in just an idle discussion, that the person signed the petition, that his taxes were gonna go up, and I'm like, well, you should have signed the petition just to bring it to the vote. That's how it should have been, to bring it to a public vote. It shouldn't have scared you into signing it because your taxes are gonna go up. See, and that's a whole
Well,
different,
my hope is.
and that's a whole different basket of garbage, to me.
Now, that's your opinion. That's your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So my hope is that anyone in our society that signs their name to a document is reading what they're signing.
And the
That
Mhm.
really includes a petition, so if you're putting your name on it, please be sure to be reading it and understanding, because yes, it can be presented different ways for anything.
Mhm.
So don't just take it as what you're signing is what's being presented. Always read something before you sign it. I did see a blank copy of the petition and it appeared fine, and I thought if I were signing it, I would clearly know what I was signing if I were to read it, so.
Well, I've been in favor of putting this out to the voters from day one, and I've always said that right along. And so I firmly believe that a decision of this type should be brought to the public and let the public decide. This is a big impact. This is going to affect a lot of people, a lot of kids for a lot of years. And just for 7 people to make that decision, I don't believe that's right. So I firmly believe it should go out to a vote and let the people decide. And they have the option of voting yes or no. It's a simple question. Do you support the consolidation, yes or no?
My God, there's
So
no
let's-
whatever.
It's
So
Leonidas, right? Leonidas is missing?
But Tom, let's just,
I found my
let's just remember that when you go to
Yes.
the polls,
Yeah.
yes, it's for the future generation. Okay, it's for the betterment of the kids and the betterment of education in this area. Let's not get lost I hope nobody gets lost in the fact that we're taking on somebody else's operating referendum.
It's going
Okay.
to all kids.
It's going to them too.
Well, now you're
No.
getting into the reasons to vote or not vote.
No, I'm just telling you,
Oh, you are.
the
You are.
petition was presented that way to this individual, and it really kind of made me mad.
Well,
You don't know
that's
how
your-
it was
You don't know.
Well, I talked to the person
Well,
But
personally, but
can I
anyway.
just,
if they, like you say, Kelly, if they don't read it,
Right,
then,
that's right.
okay. And people would vote for John F. Kennedy because he was Catholic or because he was good-looking, and
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, I
I'm
don't care
just-
what a person's reason is. I don't care if you're ignorant, if you're
Okay.
legally to vote, whatever your reason is, so we're getting off topic there.
Right.
But speaking of that, I didn't appreciate the comments at that last collaboration meeting either, when it was said, well, when the petition comes out, we'll see who signed that petition. It was almost like a threat, okay? And just because you sign a petition for your right to vote, that's our legal right and everything, and to make those kinds of remarks, oh, is it public? Is it public? Well, gee, then we'll find out who voted on that thing. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean there's going to be retaliation? And what about, people being afraid to sign it because of their jobs in this district, or if Virginia has their petition or not. You know, I know for a fact, there are people in this district that are afraid to sign because of their jobs, because you know what? Walls listen and walls talk. And when the administration says that they're gonna scrutinize this list, that
I
is
didn't say
shameful.
nothing.
I didn't say
I'm
nothing.
saying walls talk and walls listen, and that is shameful, that is shameful.
That's what you think would happen.
I know that's happened, I know
I
that people.
agree with you, I agree with you 100%,
I know it's
Polly.
happened.
Hopefully our colleagues in Virginia see things the way I hope we see things, and that'll render the whole petition discussion moot.
I hope so.
But
And
yes,
those are-
I don't, yes, I mean,
unprofessional,
people should have the right to speak to their own thing, just as I said,
Yes.
everyone should read what they're signing, and no one should be judged on what they're signing, I mean, that's just,
These are adults, these are school board members, these are professionals. So what are we teaching our kids by the things we say? And on social media, all these, if you have a different opinion, you do, but there's all kinds of attacks. And Jeff, you could stop those because you're moderating that. You could filter those and not let them on. And those are uncalled for. We're adults and look at how we're
Am I
acting,
missing-
worse than kids.
Am I missing something?
Well,
Because I
fine.
read them, I don't see nothing.
I honestly
Can I
don't read
just-
them. I mean.
Can I just say
That's my
that
soapbox.
Right.
I
we gotta-
respect everybody at this table's opinion on the matter. I do respect everybody's opinion.
Then let's act.
And once we take action on it, I will go by the code of ethics, which states that you will support the decision of the school board, even if the position concerning the issue is different from your own. So I respect everybody's opinion, just saying.
We
Thank
need
you.
to uphold our other board members with other codes of ethics too. There's more in that code of ethics document. Okay,
So,
I need to read mine.
get with it.
okay, can I get a roll call vote, please?
would you like me to?
You can read the resolution. Yes, please.
It's a pretty big one. Okay. Resolution number 706, whereas by resolution number 706, the School Board of Independent School District 2154 approved proceeding with a proposed consolidation with Independent School District 706 pursuant to Minnesota Statute 123A.48. Whereas as part of the proposed consolidation process, the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Education approved a plat and plan of consolidation for the proposed consolidation of ISD 2154 and ISD 706 into a single school district. Whereas on February 10th, 2020, pursuant to the requirements of Minnesota Statute Section 123A.48, Subdivision 10, the School Board of ISD 2154 formally adopted and approved the Commissioner's approved plat and plan of consolidation for the two districts. And on February 14th, 2020, the School Board of ISD 2154 published legal notice of its formal adoption and approval of the plat and plan of consolidation in ISD 2154's designated official newspaper. Whereas on February 10th, 2020, pursuant to the requirements of Minnesota Statute Section 123A.48, Subdivision 10, the School Board of ISD 706 formally adopted and approved the Commissioner's approved plat and plan of consolidation for the two districts, and on February 14th, 2020, the School Board of ISD 706 published legal notice of its formal adoption and approval of the plat and plan of consolidation in ISD 706 designated official newspaper. Whereas the School Board of ISD 2154 desires for the question of whether or not to consolidate with ISD 706 to be put to the voters in ISD 2154, and as such, the School Board of ISD 2154 desires to call for an election on the question of consolidation. Do you want me to?
No, you can.
I think
We'll read it. Now therefore be it resolved by the School Board of ISD 2154, subject to the requirements and conditions as specifically set forth in Minnesota Statute Section 123A.48, Subdivision 11, and further pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 123A.48, Subdivisions 11, 13, and 14, with cross-reference to Minnesota Statute Section 205A.05, Subdivision 1A, that the following question: shall the Eveleth Gilbert School District and the Virginia School District be consolidated as proposed? Yes, no. shall be presented to the voters in ISD 2154 for any election to be conducted on May 12, 2020.
And I would just add that the missing precinct is Leonidas on the bottom.
Thank you. And the times would be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Where's the end of this back there?
No,
Yeah, this community center.
that's Eveleth
That's
P2.
West Eveleth. It's
Yeah.
called the Leonidas
Yeah,
Community
That's
Center.
where Leonidas is a separate.
Leonidas is a
We've got
separate.
two places for
Okay.
missing place.
Right.
So, are you looking for a motion?
We already
Okay,
made
that
the
makes
motion.
sense.
Oh,
Just
we-
ready
okay,
for
Yeah.
roll call.
Ready.
Yep, Coyle.
Director Johan?
Yes.
Director Schulberg?
Yes.
Director Lotiger?
Yes.
Director Sather is yes. Director Addy?
Yes.
Director Sorkin?
A resounding yes.
Director Gentilini?
Yes.
And resolution 706 passes with 7 yeses and 0 noes.
All right. Okay, moving along. 12.4, approve changes of 2019-2020 iPad handbook.
Mr. Chair, this is a couple study sessions ago, Jason was in here talking about the iPad handbook and the fee structure. We did move to a different company out in Midway, Easy Screen Fix, that does that, and there's a different fee structure. So the only difference that we're talking about here is the actual fees that are charged by the company that we have the iPads fixed by.
So I get a motion to approve the changes in 2019-2020 iPad handbook.
I'll move.
I'll support.
Moved by Director Yuhan, support by Director Sather. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
Did you have some discussion?
did. When I read this, there's really not anything in here much, at all about privacy, student privacy, parent privacy, data privacy. And let's pass this now, but if I, have something to bring forward or talk to Jason, I might want to come and add some amendments to it. Or some additions, so.
The handbook itself was passed before I even started working
Yeah.
here. I mean, we're just looking at changing fee structure tonight.
Yeah, well.
So you're just saying if we can take a look at
Yeah,
it for a little
that's
bit more
all.
substance
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so mine was an aye.
Okay. 12.5, Rams membership. Okay, go ahead, Jeff. You can speak to that.
We've been Rams members. They've been very good to us this past year. Lots of help with meetings and such. So, for $1,250, I think it's a good investment.
I agree, and I would move that we join Rams again.
Support.
Okay, so motion by Director Schulberg, support by Director Sather to approve the Rams membership for $1,250. Any discussion?
I have a question. Recently, they had a spot opening, and have they filled it yet? And who was that person if they did?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can certainly find out.
I was
but
just,
don't know.
I was just curious, because was this board eligible to have a representative?
I sent out the invitation.
No, I'm just wondering, who was picked, and did they pick somebody yet?
I don't know the answer.
It would be good if we had a representative on that board. Every once in a while we do. I was one once, a couple of times, but it's good to have representation. If that's still open, I think we should look into it.
Didn't they pick that night?
Yeah, we did. I
Oh.
think there were 12 people on the ballot for 11 spots.
Yeah.
And I don't know when nominations, I assume nominations are made during their regular meetings, which we're all invited to, I think.
No, there was one, there was just a special one. Somebody either quit or moved out or something, and there was one.
Yeah, it was not so
Jagnovich
long.
or
Just one
Jagovich,
person.
or what's his name?
So there
Well,
was,
I know the board is elected at their annual meeting.
this was
So
either
that
a
there's a
resignation
special
or
spot or
whatever.
something.
Yeah, all right, but if it's still open, it'd be good for somebody to.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 13.0 old business, the certified letter to,
I took care of that myself.
okay, and was it sent?
I actually passed over the middleman, I just gave her a copy of it, I figured the board has already seen the thing, why can't she? It's public. I gave her a copy of the
Okay.
redacted report.
When did you give that to her?
Oh, what did I do with her? February 12th?
Day after our last meeting, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm glad she finally got it, because it was said once for sure, but maybe even twice at this board table. And if I had to, I'd go back and find the meetings. It was said that she had received that report before, and now we find out that was not true. So I'm glad she got it now, but we were told before that she received that report. And Matt, you even questioned, no, you even said, you know, and she hadn't gotten it, so.
My whole, and we spent way too much time on this because frankly it hasn't been handled properly. My understanding, and it's been a long time, was that the report would be provided to the individual, but once it was, it would be public information. And because of that, she said, I don't want to see the report. And then what we asked you to do is to send her a certified, or someone to send a certified letter saying it's been resolved, and not necessarily give the report.
And that's not true, because she never did get the report until now. And it's like you said last, it's been over a year, let's get this done.
So,
This could be, I mean, it's important because it could be a legal liability of us, that these things be handled when they should be handled.
yes, does anyone consider the matter not closed at this point?
I consider it closed at this point. I would consider it closed. Does anybody else feel that way?
I hope it's closed.
From our perspective as a board, yes.
Okay.
We don't know what the parent will do, but
Yes.
from our
Right.
perspective,
Right.
it's closed.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Meet and confer, Ollie?
We have
Jeff?
not, we have not done the second one yet.
Okay,
I think we are behind one now. We are obligated for the second one, we haven't offered the first one. So let's put it on our old business again, and I don't know how we can catch up with it legally.
What do you mean catch up?
You what?
Never mind. Go ahead.
And again, we aren't legally obligated to offer it to AFSCME, but I think we discussed it. If I had to put it into a regular motion the next meeting, I will, that we have the same kinds of non-contractual meetings with AFSCME, because I think it's healthy for a district.
is
for a
it
community.
the board's responsibility
That's
to
mine.
set this up? Okay.
So clarification, you said that we have not done a second one yet. Did we do a first one?
No, we haven't.
One was
done-
offered, they didn't, no response.
Okay, so.
Okay, so it was
one
offered, so they declined, so we're moving on to the second one.
One was offered?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? Okay, Jeff, you're up. 14.0.
All right, here's the enrollment from today. I just want to talk a little bit about the listening sessions from last week. We did 6, morning, noon, and night, 2 days last week. Participation wasn't that great. It was probably about 50 total, and some of those were repeats and/or employees. I sent these to you, but just for the good of the tape, just to tell you some of the questions, advice that we came back. Why aren't the tax rates in both communities the same? Why are the taxes in Eveleth, Gilbert higher in Virginia? Why did we have to buy land? Operating referendum is considered debt by most people. That was in response to, we told them that we weren't taking Virginia's debt. Board should vote on consolidation. Collaboration was voted on, assumed to be the first step toward consolidation. No need to consolidate until the buildings are up. Consolidating contracts will make a better working environment. Don't wait until the last minute to plan, do things to bring the communities together. Should have taken care of things like land and design first before we, the full statement is before we even went out to the public for a vote. Need to take care of kids now instead of spending all this time on this time and effort on this project, what happens to adult education when we consolidate. This is moving way too fast, need to slow down and think about what we're doing, no need to consolidate. People are upset about all the promises made that got cut. How does consolidation affect current sports co-ops? If we consolidate in July, do we continue to have two sports teams? How much money will it cost to combine contracts? We have concern about the unforeseen costs. Will there have to be further cuts? EG didn't vote for Virginia's referendum. Put it to a public vote. We should be able to vote for joint powers board members. We shouldn't pay for Virginia's debt. Put an end to the Facebook page. Keep the Facebook page. That was in response to cutting the Facebook page. What's going on with ERATs? Are we building a wing onto our new building for them? And why are things being cut already? So we are working on.
In regard to the Facebook page, it was in the Eveleth auditorium, and I think I remember the fellow saying, keep it civil, can't you cut those comments and just it be informative, not that it's good or that it's bad.
And I can turn comments off, which.
And so that was the rest of that story.
But I guess I don't know where the comments were.
I've
I mean,
tossed,
it was swearing. I guess they were swearing on.
and I've tossed those ones, I think.
I guess I
I
never
don't
saw 'em.
claim to read every one of them.
It's gotta be a full-time job with all the comments.
Well, I mean, you start reading it and you look up and 3 hours later, it's like, wow. I just spent 3 hours on that.
Well, and I mean, it's hard, maybe, I get it, but it is, maybe it's at the point where no comments and just have
That's fine, I'd cut
posting
those
for
out.
information only, and if people wanna comment, they can send an email to the superintendents or the boards, or I don't know where that line is, because it's hard to control and manage what people have to say. You first off, you can't control it. They're gonna post whatever they wanna post on there, but then the reality is then we do have a responsibility to have to monitor and manage that, and it's hard because I think it's in a tough spot where if someone's questioning something, it's easy to say, oh, you're just wanting certain comments being seen, or you're not.
That's
So
what and that's what when I start deleting stuff, it's first thing that comes up.
yeah, so I mean,
I have a different point of view, so you're deleting me.
I mean, people
No,
can
I'm
pull
deleting
that
it
and
because-
have a separate conversation on their own Facebook thread. They can copy and share that on their own Facebook and create comments on that if they would like, I guess. I don't know.
Personally, I read a lot of them. I like to get that input from other people, even though,
Bless you.
it does, well, I mean, it gives insight into what people are thinking, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the respectful responses, and I get that it gets unrespectful at times, and I've also seen comments about why aren't board members piping in, and I'm gonna tell, for the camera purposes, I don't pipe into those conversations. I'm reading them, but I don't pipe in because I don't want to be accused of violating an open meeting law. So I don't, because that can happen.
Okay.
So I do not reply to those, but I do read them.
If it's open to
And
the
so
public, there's no
it's-
open meeting law violation.
But
Anyway.
But if 3 or 4
Anyways.
board members formulate an opinion,
No.
we don't even have to get into a discussion. I'm just talking about myself, and I'm talking about my personal opinion and why I don't, and I explained that to a gentleman, and totally understood, but a lot of people don't understand those kinds of things out in the public because they're not aware of the the rules and stuff that we need to follow. So, but I appreciate reading those comments, and I appreciate that you're responding to those comments, because people do have questions, and I think they're getting answers where they should be getting answers. So,
I do read them. I don't respond. If someone wants to get my opinion, I think I usually publicly say it pretty well in meetings. Or they can give me a call or send me an email, but it's hard. I mean, I get it, and yes, but I think that we have to be careful because the people responding, it is a tiny piece of our public. And there's certain people that are on Facebook, and there's certain people in our community that is not on Facebook, and that's not gonna be their way to communicate.
I haven't logged in over a year myself, so if anyone's sending me stuff that I'm not responding to, now you know why.
So I'm
Social
careful
media
to take
guy,
it with a grain of salt on what people are commenting, good and bad, about everything that we're doing, because it's only a really small population.
I'm with Matt. I mean, I don't even have a personal page, and I got all these people waving at me, and I had to ask my 16-year-old what that means after a while. So, I mean, if you've been waving at me, sorry.
I mean, you know, and I know that there was comments about not being accepted onto the page and those kinds of things. Accepted as a friend to the page, and I heard
I ran
somebody.
out of room.
I heard somebody say that, so, you know, maybe we need to have Jason look at another way for us to utilize a similar.
I like that lady's idea that from one of the community members in our collaborative meeting on having a website that, I'm sorry, I think this is such a huge project and we're putting so much money into it. It is worth to pay to be able to have a website developed and maintained to be able to communicate. I
started one. Did you look at it?
No.
Why not?
Where is it?
It's actually pretty fancy.
I didn't know that it existed. See,
Oh,
Yeah.
part of
See,
having a
then you're not
website,
reading-
you have
you're not
to be able
reading
to
Facebook
communicate. Not reading, yeah. So I think that's I really think that's a
agree
good
with
way.
you. And you know what, and I struggle, I don't know if we're getting off topic here, but I do struggle sometimes when even as a board member, I wanna go on to our school webpage to find something, and I've gotta click 15 times to get to what I'm looking for, and it shouldn't be that difficult.
See? And if you clicked on my page, it's way more easy. I made it simple.
So what's the
There's a link on the page,
on
on
the
our page.
collaboration?
No, on our website, on our school website.
Okay. I will check it
Click on
out.
that bad boy.
I will check it out.
It's pretty awesome.
Couple of comments.
80 hours of my life that I'll never get back.
Well, and that's one of my comments. It's related to that. That's an immense amount of time that you're spending doing that. But, you know, citizens have to take their own responsibility, I think. Instead of expecting our superintendent, which he told us he's ready, how many months ago, with all this stuff, he's burnt out. And now to take this on, people have a responsibility to come to the meetings, to read the minutes, to watch the videos, to educate themselves. And so, you know, for us to spoon feed them, it's not a bad idea, but, you know, that information is out there. If they want it, like I research, I look, we do too. It's your responsibility to find out a lot of this because it's public, you click, we have Board Book now, that's an amazing resource. You can get all those documents and read them yourself instead of Jeff having to copy and paste them all. And so, I don't know, that's an immense amount of time so I would reconsider cutting back on some of it or all of it or whatever. And then the other thing here's a mild example about the nastiness on that page. So some people are saying, oh, there's a disagreement about the indoor or the outdoor playground, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So what I remember reading is the first time somebody said, oh, I think that's a waste of space and time and blah, 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 all of a sudden the people who disagreed, they started jumping on those people and then saying, well, you know, they're just the no people. I'm just gonna disregard them. They're just the no people. Okay, are you really respecting a different point of view or not? So that's a mild thing that's happened. And God forbid what the last referendum collaborative pages or the vote yes page was. People wouldn't open their mouths because they'd get immediately attacked like a piranha coming after you. So anyhow, that's my soapbox again.
Yeah, but that comment went with the viral cesspool of germs at the, you know, why would they waste their money on that? The viral cesspool of germs, who's gonna clean these? I mean.
Wait, you know that if you are an employee at McDonald's,
Yeah.
wait now, if you are an employee at McDonald's, you brought up the germs. If you are an employee at McDonald's, and I know somebody whose son was a big kid, like you, Bill, and tall, like you, Jeff, they had to go up in those tubes, and they actually had to wipe out and clean and disinfect those tubes. I mean, so if you're talking about somebody who really made a stupid remark about germs, They have to
It's-
do that in McDonald's play field, so, see, there's always some reason for somebody to say that. Let's respect every point of view.
I'm actually feeling better about myself right now.
Well, good.
So,
Right.
one more comment. I agree with Polly about the importance of attending meetings. And I've stated that for public members and board members as well, but is it called from the from our Eveleth Gilbert School website, is it called Shaping the Future of Education in Northeast Minnesota?
Did you click on it?
I clicked on it and
What'd you come up with?
what comes up is Rockridge Wolverines.
That's the one.
Okay. But
Right above it is EGV collaboration information.
right, but below it, I wouldn't know that, I guess I just wouldn't know that it was relating to this
I'm not done with it.
Rockridge.
Work in progress.
It's a work in
And
progress.
is that a school board sanctioned Facebook page?
It's not
Is it official?
I don't work on it when I'm in
It's a
school.
website.
I mean, no, the collaborative link on Facebook, is that school board sanctioned? Is it an official, like the Franklin School or like the junior high school, or what? And we haven't even decided that,
I would
because as
say no,
I
I don't
understand, it
think
was
so.
taken over, Jeff, when you first started taking it over, you says, well, I'm gonna take over the Yes Vote Committee collaborative page because you've already got this established base. Now, is that a sanctioned school district? Are we representing the school district when, on that page, or what?
I don't
These
know,
are
I was
important
sitting here and
questions.
somebody said we need to start getting more information out, so that was
Well,
my
fine.
response.
Is it a
It's one
school sanctioned
method.
page?
It's one method of getting information out,
So
and we've all
Are we
sat
sanctioning
here
it then?
saying that we need to get the information out.
Okay.
We've tried all avenues, newspapers, we've tried the website things, we've tried.
So we are sanctioning
so
it?
we're just
I
doing
would
our-
be fine with sanctioning
Okay.
it. Because I think that what's been getting posted is the information that's been coming from our meetings.
And
that's
what
been getting
happens
shared
on that
with
page? Are
us.
we sanctioning?
That's
that
my
too?
concern, and that's
Okay.
where I wanna say
can
no
shut it up.
comments.
I can shut it up.
Because I can,
I mean,
I
just
can
because
guess,
I don't,
I'll have to Google how to do it.
I
I'll
can
shut it
guess
up.
that the Franklin page or the junior high page or the senior high page doesn't sanction that type of, or it doesn't even happen probably, that would not be allowed on those pages. So if this is a school sanctioned Facebook page and some of this stuff is going on, I don't know that we should sanction it.
Okay,
All right.
let's move along.
Me. Next Monday's joint powers board meeting, we're gonna cancel that, we had talked about it before, and reschedule that
I
to the
don't-
18th.
I don't know if that's gonna be 100% positive yet.
What's that positive?
I'm not sure if that's 100% positive yet on the March 2nd canceling that.
How come?
Well, because I think that we were going to, part of our discussion of our working group is we may want to have that meeting.
As I indicated in our working group, I don't think the joint powers board has anything to do with that discussion, that discussion should come here. And I think that's consistent, go to our respective boards and up to the joint powers board.
Thank you, Matt, thank you.
And that's consistent with how I've talked about the joint powers board from our first meeting.
Been consistent, yeah.
Yeah, either way, last I heard that we were not gonna have that because elementary DD, design and development, is due next week, and they'll do an estimate that should be done by the 18th, that the joint board can look at that time.
it's on my schedule for the 18th during my vacation. That's all I know, I have
What's
it
on
down.
the
I'll let you
The
guys,
joint powers
Joint
board,
powers
board.
they canceled the 2nd and moved it to the 18th,
Who
2 weeks
canceled?
you
later.
guys can.
Who
go
canceled?
there.
Oh, the administrators?
Yeah, requested that it be canceled and
Okay.
moved to the 18th.
Gotcha.
We just need to click on it.
I gotta see what I'm doing, I don't even.
All right, over in Gilbert, we've having I Love to Read Month. Pretty cool thing we're doing again this year. We are having one school, one book with Armstrong Sperry's Call It Courage. So everyone in the entire school, 5 through 8, has read this book or just about finishing it here this month. Let's see if I can. So just click it.
Oh,
There we go. Here's a couple more pictures. We've had some school-wide activities and things going on around the book. Junior high advisories are getting involved by putting up some decorations around the school, around the theme of the book. And then each day we have trivia questions that students enter in the little box in the media center. And they get a chance to win some prizes and things like that. So that was pretty cool. Collaboration through our PLCs this year in collaboration with Virginia as well, but we have put together a school-wide collaboration in the junior high with a superheroes unit, and they're working on superhero stuff in English, art, science, health, computers, and all of these things have come together, and students have created their little superheroes. You can see some of the superheroes there that they did on the 3D printer.
The next one will load. Just warning you. I don't know what you did to it.
I tapped it a few times.
Just been talking.
All right, and then we have some make the cuts if they come up. We had,
I got that one, but this one won't load.
all right, well, fifth grade make the cut for fairness in the month of February. We had, or excuse me, in the month of January now. We had Aaron Hughes, Xavier Newton, and Abby Frost, fifth graders. Sixth graders, Briley Lang, Emma Peterson, and Sophia Fornes. In seventh grade, we had Nola Kwiatkowski, Maggie Krauser, Caden Lundstrom, and eighth grade, Alec Troutwine, Zelina Ortiz, and Miley Young. Thank you.
At the high school, this is a picture of our one-act play, the cast and the crew that went to state in early February. There were 8 teams that made it to state and missed the highest ranking you can get as a star. 2 out of the 3 judges have to score you with exemplary, and Mr. Gutzmacher and the one-act play did get that score of a star. So 2 of the 3 said they were exemplary. So congratulations to them. Carly George talked about already our swimmers going, our boys swimming. Send-off is this Wednesday. Our boys swimming team will go over to Virginia for their send-off in the auditorium in the morning, and then they're going to come here for cake, and we'll send them off on this Wednesday to state. So congratulations to them. And then we used to call IRYA, Iron Range Youth in Action, and now it is, the Iron Range is no longer part of the title. It is just called Youth in Action because it is a St. Louis County, and so Duluth and those schools in southern part of the St. Louis County wanted to join us. So it is now Youth in Action, and the Make a Difference Conference was in the middle of February, and Mr. Strasser took this group of students down to the deck for that conference. And the last couple things I wanted to mention was last week, the 18th and the 20th, we were working with the Cunningham Architects with programming sessions. So about an hour to an hour and a half long, we would sit with the FACS teacher, CTE teachers, the science teachers, arts, technology, and music, and fine tune their rooms as far as space and storage and what they would need. So we had 2 days of that last week, and 2 days from today, Wednesday of this week, from 12 to 1:30, we're meeting with a student group of students to look at the interior design with Haley from Cunningham, so that the students can have some voice in what it will look like as far as colors and furniture and textures and things like that.
The last thing that I'd skipped over, I did get a data request today that's quite extensive regarding the lead up to the election. I'm passing it around now what the data request is, and it's going to be extremely time consuming to fulfill that. I'm just telling you, I sent it to Margaret today to find out what a reasonable amount is that we can charge the request to complete it. It will likely not happen during school business hours because we don't have the manpower here to even come close to it, so it's probably going to be done after hours, and we'll charge accordingly. I personally have not ever in 7 years asked for anything past hours. volunteered hundreds of hours, but I'm not volunteering on this one.
Yeah.
Understood.
How many hours you thinking, Jeff?
Lots. I can't put a number to it right now.
You know, where this came
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
from? Okay.
I think it was positive that you shared it with our council, and I would take her lead as to how to, yes.
All right. So then 15.0 becomes discussion on the ad hoc group. Okay,
Working session.
working session, okay, so there's gonna be discussion on that?
Maybe whatever,
Yeah, yeah. So who's gonna take the lead on that, which,
either one of us,
okay,
I guess.
all right.
No, I mean, from my perspective, it was a pretty quick meeting, because what I had anticipated going there, based on our discussion at the last joint meeting, that,
Collaborative
at the
meeting.
last collaborative meeting, thank you, that there was, you know, the two potential internal candidates for the superintendent position. Jeff had indicated that under certain circumstances, he would be willing to stay on in a different capacity, and well, I guess Dr. Schmidt didn't indicate anything. So I thought what the marching orders for Trevor, Trevor Helmers was to come up with some sort of a job description as far as what we could go to Jeff with and say, is this agreeable to you? Because I see that as happening first before you can move to the next step. Or else Jeff also had indicated that if we can come to an agreement with a spot for him, that he would want to potentially throw his hat in the ring for the superintendent's position. And my take on that is, so you have to figure A out before you move to B. And I think there was some, a different view on the director from Director Reardon and Director Tomerville. So we had a pretty quick, relatively unsubstantive conversation, and I still think that's where we need to go. We have, I haven't seen the posting, but my understanding was that we were gonna get together on Thursday at 4:30 for a follow-on meeting, and also to Brandy's comment about the joint powers, I felt then, and I indicated that the joint powers has nothing to do with that. And that's what I said, and I don't set the agendas for the joint powers. But if the joint powers does meet on March 2nd, I'm actually glad to see it was rescheduled, because hopefully I'll be in Toronto that night.
And I would agree with what Matt said. I was thinking that it was going to be a different sort of meeting when we went in, and I brought that fact up, that, you know, from what I understood from the collaboration meeting, our combined boards, was that we were going to get together and have a discussion about the process, and that Tim would be contacting the attorney to figure out a process for doing the job description and things like that. So there was some discussion around that, and then there was discussion about you know, the construction liaison part, and about how that's not quite a full-time position, most likely. And there was discussion that came up about the principal stuff. So, like I said, I felt like it was pretty important for us to figure out that principal stuff for our district going forward, so we can, like I said, be fair to all the players. Both Matt and I agreed to take on, I agreed that since Noel did not specify in that meeting whether or not he wanted or was interested in the position of superintendent for a potentially consolidated district, you know, I guess for whatever reason, my understanding was he just wasn't comfortable with that conversation because he wasn't prepared for that conversation. But I was tasked with contacting him because the Eveleth Gilbert School Board does not know much about, other than what we've dealt with Noel on. I mean, we don't have a lot of information about him. You know, background, resume kind of stuff, and we didn't know if he was interested. We probably can assume that he is, but, so Matt was going to contact Jeff and have a conversation with Jeff. And I did contact Noel. I contacted Noel today and spoke to him as well. He is interested in being the consolidated school superintendent, so I did ask him, for the sake of our board, if we could have a resume as well, since we're, again, not, you know, we don't have a lot of information about him, so. That's kind of the gist of it.
So I guess I just wanna say quickly, I don't care to have discussion on, I agree with Director Schoberg's statement of that's not a joint powers board thing. That is, the joint powers board is very much tasked specifically with the building of these new schools, not with any type of consolidation or job things for superintendents or anything like that. I mean, that's I believe, between the both school boards and not anything with the joint powers board. So I would not be in support of that coming before the joint powers board.
So for total transparency, when Matt and I talk about how, you know, we were a little taken aback by, what the meeting was about or what the meeting was for, both superintendent's contracts were presented to us, as well as a potential consolidated school district superintendent contract. So that's how we, you know, kind of started out the conversation about what we thought the meeting was about. And so we do have those, and yeah. And there was discussion about reviewing them, having a meeting on Thursday at 4:30.
I haven't read any of the three to this point. I certainly will by the time we meet on Thursday.
So the point was to you know, read over the contracts, have a discussion, and decide where to go from there. And there was discussion about bringing it to the Joint Powers Board for, I don't know if it's necessarily a vote or approval, but and then our individual boards making the decision or having a vote on it.
But wouldn't it come to us first and then go to the joint powers? And then, or no?
Or to the ad hoc committee. This is all backwards.
I don't know that, maybe I shouldn't even be piping it, I don't know that it ever goes to the joint board.
No,
Oh, it
I don't
shouldn't.
think it,
I think it should.
I think it's, again, my point of consolidation. I think it just muddies the water. We have to be so clear on what the Joint Powers Board is tasked to do, and that is it. Anything above and beyond is between both boards to be able to figure out.
Correct.
Like, I feel like we
I agree
have
with
to be
that.
so clear on anything coming to the Joint Powers Board should be tasked with what the Joint Powers Board is set to do, and that's it. Nothing above, nothing like, I just feel like we have to be really true to that.
And to that point, Kelly, I mean, the agreement document that we pass says, you know, the purpose of the agreement is to establish joint powers board to provide for the construction of the high school career academy, the ongoing operation and funding of the secondary program of the high school career academy, and to provide for and oversee the construction of one new elementary schools for each member district.
Yep.
Is that not
I
about
mean,
us?
No, I mean, because that's, I mean, the point of the superintendents, it is between, and even if whether it's consolidated or not, I mean, there was conversation whether, you know, we look at having one superintendent consolidated or not. Like, though, that's between two school districts. That's
that-
not between a joint powers board.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, but, and that gets to, I think we all saw this that was presented at the informational meetings, and when I look at this, it looks like we're gonna have 3 completely independent school districts, and I don't believe that. I think you have, if we consolidate, assuming we consolidate that, the whole joint powers deal goes away immediately.
Yep.
But if we don't consolidate, you have Eveleth Gilbert ISD 2154, you have Virginia ISD 706, and then you have a joint powers board approved by the 2 respective boards
Overseeing
that
the high
operates
school.
the high school career academy. It's not a 3rd independent district.
Yeah.
Or, and if I'm wrong,
You're
someone
not wrong.
please.
No, that's,
But that's exactly what we're saying in this, and it's not true, and it's creating confusion.
What I will say is I have some concern because this is a big deal. This is a big deal for education on the Iron Range. It's a big deal for our 2 school districts and our towns. What I am nervous about, or concerned about, I should say, is we're getting down to the wire. I mean, Jeff's contract ends on July 1st, and it is prime superintendent interviewing time. I don't want to end up getting caught in a situation where we've gotten this far and we could potentially lose both because their situation is uncertain at this moment. And like I said, it's prime superintendent interviewing time, and I think they're both stuck between a rock and a hard place because if we don't make decisions soon, would you want to stay at a job that's kind of iffy come the end of June? Or would you want to be applying to make certain that you have a job? And that's what my concern is.
I agree with the urgency, but it's more important we get it right.
I agree that we need to get it right, but again, it's time constraints that are of concern.
so who and what entity, what board, what joint powers board, what committee decided that you would just look at the 2 current principals and not superintendents and not throw it out there to everybody? Who made that decision?
That hasn't been decided.
Well, you haven't talked about it in the ad hoc or the collaborative meeting, nor has this board. This board, Matt, you're right on.
we talked
And
about it at the collaborative meeting.
Yes,
We
we
have.
did.
With the attorney.
And I will say
What
that
decision was made though then?
It wasn't decided.
It
Well,
wasn't
then, is
options.
there,
discussion was had.
is there an option to throw this out for any
Yes.
superintendent?
There's an option.
There's an option,
Okay.
but personally, I would not go for that.
Well, we haven't
because-
decided that as a board, the 2 boards.
But you asked a question and I'm answering, and personally, I would not go for that because these 2 individuals have been with us this whole way. They know what's going on in the process. They've talked with the players of this situation, and I think that would be a disaster myself.
It might, and that's your opinion, but we haven't had that discussion. Neither boards have had that discussion to go to, I don't know what, because it doesn't go to the Joint Powers Board, right? Okay, so did the Joint Powers Board, I think the Joint Powers Board did approve the administrative structure and the names, right? Those
did
new,
not.
It was presented.
they did not, that wasn't a vote of the Joint Powers Board?
That was not a vote of the joint powers.
It was, I know we voted on it individually, right? Did Virginia, the 32 positions? Who voted on that
Nobody
already?
voted
I
to
don't think
approve anything.
Right, I don't think
We
approved
didn't,
it, no.
It's been
Information.
presented.
It's presented.
okay.
That's what I remember.
So what
Are you
about,
talking like the principal's assistant?
the 32, the
And all of
32,
those things,
yeah.
I would agree that it
Activities,
hasn't, it hasn't been voted on, it has been presented, and I also commented about the necessity of having assistant principals in every building. So I know for a fact that decisions weren't made because that is something that I'm concerned about as well.
Because that's the same kind of administrative position as the superintendent's. All right, so, I've got questions. So you said, Matt, that the other two members of this ad hoc, and it's called an ad hoc committee because it's posted that way, they had differences of opinion, and what were those opinions that were different than yours and Brandy's?
Oh, I mean, fundamentally, I think that we need to start, and if one is to have a handshake, I mean, there's two, I mean, we need to figure things out with Jeff before we decide if we're just gonna offer this, or make a recommendation to the respective boards to offer a superintendent's position to Dr.
And
Schmidt.
when did that question come before this board to decide, or was it decided?
It hasn't.
Okay,
We're
so
just
when-
gonna make a recommendation.
When will it come before this board and all the discussion?
When we are able to, when we finish doing what we need to do, and I do agree with Brandy on the urgency, but we have to come up with a plan, I think, that's workable for, particularly if we do go the internal route for Jeff and for Noel. And until we have that, and the first part of that is trying to figure things out with Jeff.
Okay, point of question or point of order here. Collaborative meeting established your ad hoc committee, and you called it a team, but it's called a committee on when you post it. All
But
right,
we
so
voted on it here.
Yeah.
we did, but Virginia didn't, but neither here nor
Virginia
there.
did too.
Well, they voted on it, when?
Mhm.
When?
Same night we did.
Okay,
February
neither
10th.
here nor there. Okay, so on the agenda for that meeting was to discuss the potential of a combined superintendent's contract, right?
Yes.
Okay, that was on the agenda. That's a committee meeting. Now you're telling us that you also, this committee took it upon themselves, and who had the authorization of this committee to now discuss, and you've taken action about a principal, combined principal, construction manager, maintenance person. Now you're meeting to,
didn't take any
you're
action at
meeting,
all.
you're meeting next week or this week for that. Now
We
that's a
didn't
whole,
take any action at all.
but it's on your next agenda. You put it on a next agenda.
I
so-
don't know, I haven't seen the.
Well, you don't know your own meeting next week or this week about that?
I know
I think
we
it's
had a
Thursday.
meeting.
On
It's,
Thursday.
it's
I
posted.
don't know who calls it. I don't know who puts out the agenda. I don't know who
Okay.
puts this agenda out until I see it.
But you've got a meeting,
And I see it before the meeting.
your ad hoc committee.
But I don't, that's the first thing I do when I get this is I don't open it up to see what our agenda is.
Your ad hoc-
I get to it when I have a chance
Your
to.
ad hoc committee has another meeting, the second meeting, and now you've gone beyond the initial conversation of the collaborative meeting about the superintendent issue. Now you've taken it upon yourselves to discuss another position, which may or may not include Jeff, but it's combined principal. Now you're telling me you decided about a job description and talking to attorneys. Now this committee has taken it upon themselves
That
with
was-
no direction from our board, Virginia board, or even the collaborative boards to start discussing a principal, construction manager, and maintenance
That
person.
was all discussed at the joint board meeting, and you would have heard that if you would have been there.
I was there.
Not at
No,
that
I
joint
wasn't there,
board.
no, I wasn't there.
Not at the collaborative.
But I watched it, I watched it.
Collaborative.
Okay,
That was discussed.
So when I
no,
look at,
not that triple.
That was the first time I heard
All right.
the principal on assignment phrase.
Matt, you
So
go
I
back.
know that was
Remember one
discussed.
meeting you went back and you says, well, I'll go back and watch this meeting. Now you go back and watch that meeting. It was a decision
I
about.
don't have to. I know what
Construction
was
manager,
decided.
well, you go back, he talked about being a construction manager, now we're talking about a combined job. But now it went to the ad hoc committee, this ad hoc committee.
okay, so,
You're going off on a tangent, and one more thing, I would like to know, you said there's a potential superintendent's contract, and you saw that both superintendent's contracts, I think we need a copy of what you people got at that committee meeting, this potential superintendent's contract. And that's public information, why don't we have that, that
What are
you
you
talked
looking
about?
at me for?
Well, why don't we
They
have
don't even
it?
tell me when these meetings are.
Why don't we
I'm
have
not
it?
running the committee. I
Well,
mean, I don't know
then-
who is. I don't
it's-
think it's a committee.
Well,
We wanna call it a
Okay.
committee, call
All
it a
right, all right,
committee.
all
Okay,
right.
fine.
Tim Reardon was supposed to be the one contacting the attorney. So I would look at
Who gave him the
as
authority to contact the attorney?
I would think that he would.
The committee, did the committee give him authority to contact the attorney?
Polly, the other part of that discussion about what this group was going to do was negotiations, superintendent negotiations. So all of the things that we've been discussing are all a part of that.
Well,
What were you gonna say, Kelly?
So what I was gonna say is at the collaborative meeting that we had with both districts, we did discuss every different types of options of the superintendent of what are legal responsibilities, what are the various options that we could have. That is where we discussed there was concern about not allowing the two individuals that are currently in superintendent positions to be able to retain their positions and opening it up broader. That was brought up by a couple of people, me included. And then that was where further conversation came up as far as looking at the potential of what one superintendent would look like, whether there's a need for this construction liaison, believing that taking on that responsibility is more than what one superintendent would be able to handle. And that was when we had asked, if we could get two people from each board to be able to meet to just continue discussing that and hash some of that stuff out. So when I look at this ad hoc committee meeting for Thursday's agenda, the first one, it's called meeting to order. 2 is review possible contract for principal buildings and grounds construction liaison for the new school district. My thought on this, I don't know, just hearing the update though from Director Lotiger, is that there was some discussion that whether construction liaison is actually a full-time position or not. So would it be part of, I'm assuming that's kind of where that discussion came in, and then review superintendent contracts and adjourn. I still feel like that's still operating within what we had requested at the collaborative meeting that both boards were in attendance of. That's all I have to say.
I disagree, and that third item was just added because when it was first posted, that third item was not on that agenda. So I don't know when that was added, and so if it's even.
But again,
But like you said, Kelly, you had discussion at that collaborative meeting. No decisions are to be made at that meeting, it's all discussion, but
we
you
came here and we
informally,
voted.
we did, but informally, you formed that committee, okay, but now it's going into a different area as far as I'm concerned. That you're just, that ad hoc is taking on a authority that it doesn't even have. Our board and their board should have had that thing, and then maybe directed a committees are below boards, to look at those contracts, to maybe look at a combined thing. At that collaborative meeting that I watched, there was no talk about a combined whatever, so this came up in the.
because we were tasked
Cooperative-
with that job
well,
to have those discussions. And
You were tasked with it, and you.
Polly,
Okay, I'm done.
Polly, we've had,
I'm done.
again, I go back to the importance of people attending meetings, whether it's citizens or board members. I know-
No action could have been taken at that meeting, and it
Right,
was, so.
so then we
But
came
you
back
could
to
have
this
waited.
board and we
I'm
had a
done.
vote. We
I'm done.
voted on who was going to represent our board on that committee, the ad hoc working session, whatever you'd like to
And
call
we did it after the fact
But
because I
again,
made an issue of it, right?
It's important for you to be at those meetings. I know that you said that they're pretty much a waste of time.
Don't go there.
But they're
Now-
important for you to
Now
be
you're
at
attacking the
because-
person because of the
No,
subject. You are
we're
attacking the
we're just
person's
talking
attendance.
about you weren't at the meeting.
You're attacking me for not attending. Well,
You weren't at the meeting. and
My
I'm just
attendance is
stating
not
the
part of this
importance being
conversation.
at the meeting.
that's it.
You can ask questions when you're at that meeting.
That's what people do. They turn
So
around and
just-
they attack the person instead of
I'm
the
not
issue.
attacking you, Polly.
That's not the issue. The
Polly,
issue was.
Okay,
Do
okay,
not
okay.
think that you're attacking
Okay,
us
order.
about, well, look what you guys
Order.
are doing now.
I'm talking
Order.
about the legality of it, okay?
Okay,
There could be a legal issue here. All right.
Vice versa.
That's
Hold
why
on.
that's why we need lawyers at every meeting, and I know that's expensive, and we've been trying to get that done, but we need to get that done quick, or I
I
might
agree.
not come to another meeting.
I agree.
Try and do it fast, and all you do is.
Yeah, I agree.
Lawyers
Okay,
don't know everything
so,
on the spot either.
okay, let's move on to board member topics. Tom, you got anything?
Nothing.
No.
I have nothing.
No,
Randy?
I don't think so.
Matt?
Well, just to piggyback on, and it's gonna kind of seem, I don't know, but what Carly said, and I think some of what Principal Williams alluded to, that with, and I know I'm gonna probably offend some people, because I only see the big things, but as far as, you know, getting to playoff time and past playoff time with our sports teams, and just say how I think that, you know, the combination with Virginia went swimmingly, pun intended, and that certainly has been a success. But if I look also at, I think with what Coach Fitzgerald has done with the girls hockey team, and seeing a little bit of that, there's a whole new vibe around there, and it's certainly positive since he took over. Just I think and again, I haven't seen a whole lot of the girls basketball, but I did see some, and with their transition, that's gone very well. Boys basketball has been a lot more competitive. Last year never thought it would be so much fun when you win one game, but it really was, and they made great strides last year. So I think that program's in good hands right now, and the hockey, you know, to make the section semifinals and compete as well as they did, that's a big deal. That being said, I was very disappointed that we didn't have a pep band in Duluth, and still don't understand how that happens when my kids were in pep band. Those were not optional events, whether it was on a Saturday or a Monday. If this happens, you're gonna be there, and I don't know how that happened. There appeared to be some disconnect somewhere, and you know, it was their chance. I mean, anyone who knows anything about the lay of the land in hockey this year knew what an uphill mountain those guys had to climb to have a chance to compete against Hermantown, and that just wasn't reasonable that they would win, and the band could be at Wednesday's game, unfortunately. So that's all I got to say on
Was that a sectional meeting?
section semifinal for the first time. I don't wanna call Carly George out, but it was only 18 years, it wasn't 20.
When we were, when I was in the band, and then when my daughters were in the band, the pep band or they were transported to anything starting with sectionals and up all the way.
It had nothing to do with transportation.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, so it's not unusual, and then we would follow them to the state.
Transportation was there.
Transportation was there, yeah.
I mean, it was.
Traditionally, it has been, maybe it hasn't
Yes,
been.
oh yeah, it was layered. At first it started being a question, did you bring
Yeah.
one bus or two for the band?
Yeah, it's a shame that, yeah.
Is that being addressed? I guess I don't know
There weren't enough kids. I mean, there was a speech meet that day, there was,
I was gonna say,
Some other
because
sporting
my daughter
event
does
and-
pep band, and she loves pep band, and she went down to the game and watched the game, but she
Yeah,
would have
there
done
was-
pep band there too. And I just never even heard if that was even an option.
swimming section, speech.
Bunch of conflicts.
So they just weren't gonna have enough kids.
They
That's
had,
great.
they had 14 kids that were willing to be able to.
We should have known that beforehand and addressed it.
All I was gonna say was just a tip of the cap to those 15 seniors on that team. You had a lot of success growing up or playing together, and it was fun to be there on Saturday. Just have that little glimmer of hope to
That
make it
moment.
back, and
Would have been a nice upset.
it would have been great. I was ready for an upset.
Me too.
Another miracle on ice.
Yeah.
40 years to
It's
the day
40th
after.
anniversary
Yes,
of that.
to say.
Yeah, so just tip of the cap to those guys.
And I'll just say that, you know, if we wanted to, and I don't know how the board will take this, but if we're gonna invite student representatives to come to our meetings and chime in on, I guess the meeting, you know, the last couple of meetings have been kind of heated back and forth between some of the board members, and I don't think that would be quite, wouldn't want the student representative to have to see that. I think we should.
They can see it on TV, I mean, not that, whatever, it's
I'm
a,
just,
you know,
I'm just saying, I think it's not unprofessional,
People
but I
are
just think
passionate.
that's,
yeah.
yeah, that's fine. They might get just as passionate on something.
okay. So I get a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Virginia passed her 4-2.
For it,
For
going
the
to a public
two?
vote.
Public vote?
We're going to a public vote.
Did they know what we did? Jeff?
I don't know. They do now, but
And Bill told me last stuff.
How do they know now, Jeff? Because did you
I told them.
texted them after a vote? Was that before their vote or after?
I, oh my God, I'm sorry I said
Well,
anything.
yeah.
I'm
Come on,
sorry I said
Polly.
anything.
Oh, come on. One shouldn't have an effect on the other. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise.